I'm Dr. V. Boykin, a former single mom, stripper, felon, now doctor, keynote speaker, and author of Fix Your Face and Watch Your Tone, Women Know What's Needed. I help marginalized communities achieve a more equitable personal and professional experience. I'd like to start this video saying justice is blind, but I can't because as a convicted felon, I was convicted and then I actually got punished because I had done something wrong. If justice was blind, then those of us convicted of felonies would all be treated equally, or at least equitably, regardless of our title, stature, position in life, economic status, demographic, you name it. But that's not exactly what happened. Now, I think it is best for the country to be able to move forward. I think it's best for us to have whoever is the president unencumbered and not embroiled in felonious trials, sentencing, and the like. Because as a convicted felon, I can tell you that having that hanging over your head disrupts your day, disrupts your life, and has a long lasting impact for decades to come. For example, there are still apartments where I cannot be a tenant because I have a felony on my record, even though it is 20 years old. It was over 20 years ago now, but there's still cities that have this law in the books. There's still apartment complexes that can refuse to rent to felons. But I suspect Donald Trump's not going to have that as part of his punishment or something that impacts his life. That would be privilege. He won't be able to own a gun, and I'm very curious to see if he's going to attempt to change legislation around that, especially since the NRA is one of the groups that definitely supports him. But it is interesting that he is not going to face the same barriers to employment that myself and so many others face for decades after their felony convictions. In fact, he's going to get the highest job in the entire United States of America and be able to pursue that job unencumbered. I'll say again, this should absolutely dictate what other felons go through, especially felons that are accused of nonviolent crimes. So he has an unconditional discharge, which means he did it, but there's no punishment. And as someone who is not coming from a privileged background or demographic, I didn't even know there was such a thing as that. It's very interesting to me that there is literally a conviction, but he still gets to walk around. There is no jail time. There is no prison time. There is no detention. There is no interruption. It is a very conflicted feeling because if justice is blind, I haven't seen justice work like this for anyone else. And part of me questions even more our entire judicial system because it doesn't pass the sniff test. I don't know how you can be convicted of a felony and yet have no repercussions. I want things to be fair and I want things to be equitable. It's not that I want to see anyone punished for anything, but I do want justice to be applied fairly and unilaterally across the entire swath of the American landscape. And this is not equitable. There are not examples of this in my demographic, in my lifetime, in my social circle, in my experience. I'm somebody that went from having a speeding ticket to being behind bars, and I had 2 small children at home. I certainly had important business I needed to take care of as well. I guess as someone convicted of a white-collar crime, I don't get it. Feels like the blindfold was taken off. It feels like there has been a breach in terms of the sanctity, the fairness, and the application of law in America. That's disappointing. It's really disappointing. So as much as I want the country to be able to move on, like I'm sure a lot of American people do, and as much as I want my president focused on important issues and free from distraction, although he seems to create a lot of them for himself, this does not feel equitable. This doesn't feel fair. This doesn't feel right. But I'd love to hear your thoughts. It's not going to have any of the problems that I faced and that many of those in my demographic face. All right, America, here we go. If you liked or learned from this content, please subscribe or comment below and be part of spreading the word and helping my channel grow.